The title of this lecture is The 17th Century, Dawn of Modernity. There were three intellectual developments that defined the 17th century: religious cynicism, rationalism, and empiricism, and we'll look at these developments in order. The religious cynicism of the era traces its origin to the 30 Years' War, which was waged from 1618 to 1648. It was a war waged between Catholic and Protestant nobility in the Holy Roman Empire, that is, Germany, and it was basically fought over which religion would have the upper hand in the Holy Roman Empire in the wake of the Protestant Reformation. While it was waged in Germany, the 30 Years' War involved many other countries. On the Catholic side, you had the Kingdom of Spain, siding with the Habsburg monarchy in the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic monarchy. And on the Protestant side, you had England, Holland, Denmark, and, of all countries, France, a Catholic country. This war, which lasted 30 years and was highly destructive, led to disillusionment and cynicism concerning organized creedal religion. And the war ended rather indecisively, I might add. Now we come to rationalism. And for rationalism, we first turn to the French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes, who lived from 1596 to 1650. He's called today the father of rationalism. And rationalism is a philosophy or an intellectual position which maintains that all things are knowable through abstract deduction from innate rational principles. This rejects knowledge derived from any external authority, be it tradition, divine revelation, or anything else. And this is a major shift in thinking which occurred in the 17th century, a move away from the authority of divine revelation, understood either in a Catholic or Protestant sense, and towards reliance upon pure reason, innate reason. Descartes is known primarily for what we call today methodological doubt. He writes, if you would be a real seeker after truth, it is necessary that at least once in your life you doubt as far as possible all things. And the goal of this methodological doubt is to discover what cannot be doubted. Now, it is important to understand that Descartes firmly believed in the existence of God. God was the guarantor of the reliability of pure reason. In this connection, God became, in the words of 20th century Protestant theologian Eberhard Jungel, nothing more than a working hypothesis for the rational order of the universe. We see a further development of this idea of God as a working hypothesis in Hugo Grotius. Grotius continued in this line of thought. He was a Dutch Protestant lawyer and political theorist. Grotius adhered to a theology known as Arminianism, which takes its name from the Dutch theologian Jacob Arminius. Arminius started what came to be known as the Remonstrant movement, which was a systematic repudiation of Calvinism. In his effort to provide a rationale for a political order in Holland that was independent of the Calvinism to which the majority adhered, Grotius argued for a renewed adherence to natural law as the basis of the political order. Grotius went so far as to assert, however, that the laws of nature were so set and objective that they would be true even if there were no God. While Grotius himself firmly believed in the God of the Bible, his assertion led to a new way of thinking about the natural order, a way which dispensed with God as the necessary foundation. Next, we come to John Locke. Locke contributed to modern thought in two areas, his political theory and his empiricism, the idea that knowledge is based upon sense experience. Locke has been highly influential in the area of political theory. He attacked the traditional doctrine of the divine right of kings, that is, that a prince rules by direct divine mandate and therefore cannot be questioned or legitimately resisted. Locke maintains that human beings in their original natural state enjoyed a large degree of natural happiness with one another. However, as individual needs began to come into conflict, human beings organized themselves politically into a state, either by explicit or implicit consent. Thus, according to Locke, the state derives its authority from the consent of the people. Whenever the state becomes destructive to the good of the people can legitimately resist the authority of the state. Now here we have the beginnings of modern democratic political theory. In the area of epistemology, or that branch of philosophy which deals with how we know something, Locke rejected Descartes' belief in innate rational principles as the basis of certain knowledge. Locke believed that the source of all knowledge is experience. All knowledge for Locke is based upon ideas which are internal and subjective, as it is for Descartes, but with a crucial difference. The internal ideas for Descartes, are rooted in our innate rational principles, whereas for Locke, these internal ideas are derived from our experience of the external world. Knowledge is reduced to a subjective apprehension of the agreement or disagreement with these mental ideas. Given the radical subjectivity of knowledge, the true essence or substance of a thing cannot be known with certainty, argues Locke. We can only know the external properties and qualities of a thing, never its true essence. Given this distinction between the essence of something which is unknowable and its outward properties which can be rationally ascertained, Locke applies this to religion. He considers it highly probable, based upon our own experience, that God exists. Christian truths, which are above reason, can be assented to as highly probable as well, based upon the outward signs or miracles that accompany such truths. This leaves Christian revelation open to rational, empirically based criticism, leading to the deism that emerged later. Now, deism is, of course, a philosophy or a theological position which maintains a belief in the creator God of the natural order, but denies the possibility of a special divine revelation on the part of this God, believing that such revelation contradicts reason. Finally, we turn to Blaise Pascal. Although he is somewhat out of order in our presentation that he lived before John Locke, I include him because he represents a possible Catholic response to the intellectual developments of the 17th century. Pascal was an accomplished mathematician. At age 13, he wrote a geometrical work essay on cones. In 1647, he invented the first mechanical calculator, and he scientifically demonstrated the existence of a vacuum. He was also, again, a devout Catholic. From his faith perspective, Pascal came to sense the vanity of the human condition, a vanity rooted in original sin, aggravated by the skepticism and cynicism of his age, and which showed itself in every human pursuit: politics, science, social life, etc. In his lifelong yet unfinished work, The Pensées, which simply means thoughts, Pascal gives us a rudimentary Christian apologetic, addressed to the unbelievers of his day, including rationalists, empiricists, cynics, and free thinkers. What Pascal is perhaps most famous for is his wager on the existence of God. For Pascal, the findings of modern science and rationalistic philosophy made the existence and non-existence of God equally plausible. Reason, he says, cannot make you choose either. Reason cannot prove either wrong. Here we have a significant departure from the idea, going back to at least Thomas Aquinas, that reason proves conclusively that God exists. So the individual must place a wager, as it were, on the question. He must bet, as it were, either that God is or that he is not. And one must wager, says Pascal. Agnosticism is not a viable option, for, according to Pascal, you are already committed. But why must one wager? Why is one already committed? My sense is that if one is going to progress intellectually, that is, make some kind of comprehensive sense out of human and natural existence, then one must posit either God or no God. Agnosticism or non-committal results in intellectual paralysis. The test for Pascal in his wager is human happiness. Which option is more likely to yield personal happiness? Pascal comes to the conclusion that belief in God will yield the most happiness. Why? It has to do with what we would today call a loss-benefit analysis. If I believe in God and am wrong, I lose everything. Whereas if I'm right, I gain everything. Do not hesitate to wager, then, says Pascal. Wager that he does exist. In the 17th century, we see the emergence of rationalism and empiricism two schools of thought that led to the emergence of modern science and the scientific mentality that characterizes so much of our culture today. In that they made modern science possible, we could say that they were beneficial developments. However, they occurred within the cultural environment pervaded by religious skepticism and cynicism. This caused rationalism and empiricism to foster modern unbelief. Pascal, a creature of this time period, wrestled with this unbelief and provided a faith-filled response that acknowledged the ambiguity and uncertainty of modern culture and modern thought.